Hello everyone and welcome back to Scott's TCG. As you can see, I have a new camera set up. No more punching the tripod for me. No. I got my mic arm and attached my tripod thing to it. And now it sits free floating. So I'm going to be going through a deck profile with you guys today. Centered around my favourite, the Bloomlord themselves. Oh, can we get more of a zoom in? Oh, look at the sparkle. That's a bit taking the piss. So, Bloomlordmon. Bloomlordmon's ability is when digivolving, you may suspend one of your Digimon and then gain one memory back for each suspended Digimon that you've got in play that has vegetation, plant, or fairy in one of its traits. If you gain 2 or more memory back, unsuspend it and it gains piercing, and for every 2 suspended Digimon you have in play, this Digimon gets 2k and security attack +1. A very good card. This deck relies on spamming the board with a lot of little guys to boost Bloomlordmon's attack and not go for an OTK. It is more of an aggressive control based deck, I would say. So I'm going to walk you through the lineup. And show you what I've been testing. First of all, the deck is nearly fully minted, which I'm super happy about. I love this deck. If you've listened to the Win Rate 0% podcast, which if you haven't, it's in the description below. Highly recommend you check it out. It's super fun. I've been testing this out for a while now, and I'm super happy with the build. I think the ratios are just right, and I'm now in a position to share it. So first of all, we'll start with the Digitama. We're playing 4 copies of Hydramon. Very simple. When this Digimon becomes unsuspended during your unsuspend phase, gain a memory. It does exactly what you want it to. Obviously, this deck relies on your opponent not doing memory blocker shenanigans, but we've got ways of getting around that. I would maybe run a 5th egg, being a Gummymon. When your opponent's Digimon becomes suspended, draw a card. But I've liked the 4 in testing. Also, I can't find my Gummymon to put it in, to be perfectly honest with you. But yeah, I like the 4 eggs. Moving on to the rookies, the level 3s, we've got 4 of the most important cards. We've got 4 copies of Palmon. On play, reveal the top 4 cards of your deck and add a vegetation and plant, or add 1 Digimon with vegetation or plant in its traits, and add 1 card with fairy in its traits. So your Palmon is going to be able to search pretty much all of your deck for vegetations, and then Bloomlordmon is a fairy type, so it can also grab a Bloomlord on top of that as well. So you're going to get 1 hit most of the time and 2 hits every so often, which is super good. We're running 4 copies of EX3 Pomumon. This card is busted. When an effect suspends this Digimon, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon for almost nothing. There is so many effects in this deck that suspend your guys, and as soon as you do, you suspend one of their Digimon. This counts for Digisorption, it counts for Samadhi Santi, for Sunflymon's ability, and all that sort of stuff. This card is insane, and it has boosted this deck just to being able to suspend anything that they've got out. Crazy, super good. We've got 2 copies of Hydramon. Ignore the non-rare one. Hydramon's your standard memory blocker. It's super good in a lot of matchups. Slap that out if you've got the time and just keep it out, and your opponent can't gain memory apart from tamer effects. 2 copies of Mushroommon, because this is a cheap evolution basically. If you're able to put out a Mushroommon for free or by paying a 2 cost and then you Digisorp, you can essentially go into a level 5 for a 2 cost instead of a 3 cost, or even for free if you can spam this out by yourself. And to round it up, to bring the rookies to 13, 1 copy of Pomumon from BT9. Players can't play Digimon by effects. I cut this down to my original list. It wasn't performing as it didn't matter really. I wasn't seeing it do anything. It's great in the mirror match. Get this out once you set up your board, and they're going to be forced to suspend it and swing over it before they can start to do their own shenanigans. And it's also good in like the Commandramon matchup and other things. 13 rookies. Obviously, let me know if you're playing anything different. Moving on to the level 4s, we have 4 copies of Sunflymon. This is your early game board span. When Digivolving, suspend one of your green Digimon to play a Digimon card with vegetation, plant or fairy and 3k DP or less in its traits from your hand without paying its cost. So what is you turn 2, you bring out your level 3, you evolve into your Sunflowmon, draw your card for Digivolving, and then it suspends itself, and you could play out any other of your level 4s, because all of these work, or your level 3s as well. If you can play a Palmon out early, that gets you a free search pretty much, and it's a super good card. And it can also play itself out if you want to as well. All of these level 4s and lowers have 3k DP or less, so it's a very good card. We're playing 4 copies of Red Vegemon. It's a 1 cost to evolve. It's got 3k DP or less, and it's a vegetation. That's literally it. I can't say anything more. And we're playing 3 copies of Weedmon. Again, it's a vegetation. Its inherited effect doesn't matter because nothing in this deck has Digiburst. I would consider maybe swapping these around, maybe putting 4 Weedmon in if you're playing against a lot of Ultimate Flares and stuff like that, because Ultimate Flare can't kill Weedmon as it's a 4 cost, not a 3 cost. But I like this ratio, it's worked out well for me. Moving on to your level 5s, we have 3 copies of Hydramon. Now Hydramon is your early game board spam again. By suspending one of your green Digimon, so it's not a when Digivolving effect, it activates during your main phase. Suspend one of your guys and play out a 3k DP or less plant. Same deal again, and its inherited is good. When an effect suspends one of your Digimon, gain 1 memory. So if it's not enough that you're gaining memory off of Bloomlordmon, you're gaining memory off of this as well. Running this as a 3 to make room for the other level 5s in the deck. This is primarily a Digisorption based deck to get into a level 6 really quickly. You can go from a level 3 all the way to a level 6 for 1 memory pretty much, if you're evolving into like your Weedmons, etc. So we've got some level 5s to support that. We're playing 2 copies of Blossomon, Digisorption 3. So basically you suspend it, the guy that's Digivolving as long as it's unsuspended, or one of your other guys that you've got out, and you can go into your Blossomon and then straight into a level 6 if you want. Really good. We're playing 2 copies of Cherrymon. Cherrymon has Digisorption -2, so it evolves for a 1 cost if you Digisorp, and it essentially is it's not a blocker, it's a pseudo blocker basically. When an opponent's Digimon attacks, you may switch the target of an attack to one of your suspended Digimon. So if you've got a suspended Bloomlord or Hydramon or anything else out, and you've got Cherrymon out as well, and your opponent swings, you can redirect it and force them to kill themselves pretty much, so they need to play around that. Getting this out late game is really good, and it helps you to control the board with basically you're choosing what they're attacking with. And we're running 1 copy of Entmon. This is from EX3, Digisorption -3, and it's a 4 cost, so you're evolving for 1. If you have 2 or more suspended Digimon in play, unsuspend this Digimon. So this is great if you've played out your Sunflowmon and suspended itself to play a guy out. You can then suspend your level 3 that you've just played, Digisorp into Entmon, and then because you've got 2 or more guys, you unsuspend this, and this lets you like swing over things, especially if you've got a Palmon out. Going into this, being able to unsuspend and then swing at something that you've just suspended is super good. And then 1 copy of Argamon. Argamon is limited to 1. It's an very powerful card. It's inherited as you can play a level 3 green Digimon suspended from your hand without paying its memory cost. Yeah, it's been limited since the game came out pretty much. Highly recommend you run the 1 of. I really like this lineup. Moving into your big boys, we have of course talked about your Bloomlords. We are playing 4 of them to maximize efficiency. You can sometimes get 2 or more out a turn. Not that you probably don't want to get more than 2 out at any one time, because otherwise if your board gets wiped then your stuff is gone. But I really like the 4 of. It's a Bloomlordmon deck first, so I wouldn't change that. We're playing 2 Hydramons. When Digivolving, you may suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. Its all turns effect is when an opponent's Digimon becomes suspended for each other suspended Digimon with Vegetation, Plant, or Fairy. In its traits, you gain a memory. So basically, you've got a Bloomlord out, you've got a bunch of other suspended guys out, you evolve into Hydramon. Hydramon suspends one of their Digimon, and as soon as their Digimon becomes suspended, you gain a bunch of memory from it, potentially continuing your turn or making this a cheap evolution because it is a 5 to evolve, so it's meant to pass the turn pretty much. An end of your turn, if you've got 2 or more suspended Digimon with Vegetation, Plant, or Fairy in its traits, you can bottom deck one of your opponent's suspended Digimon. Super good card. An early Hydramon can be a bit punishing sometimes, but if you've even got one or two little guys out, or even just one that you can suspend, the bounce effect is super strong. And it's worth noting that the gain a memory effect is an all turns effect. So say you pass your opponent over one memory and you've got 4 suspended guys out. Hydramon doesn't count itself, but it does count everything else. So they bring their guy out and they swing. You trigger Hydramon's all turns effect to gain 4 memory, putting it back onto your turn, and their attack then obviously continues as it is the attacking step for them. But then unless they're gaining memory back, it passes turn back to you. So it's super strong, especially if you can memory choke them. And to round it off, I'm playing 1 copy of Shivamon. I really like an early Shivamon in this deck. Get up to the Shivamon really quickly and then suspend it, and your opponent can't use option cards, so they can't use X Antibody. Now obviously when you play X Antibody, you just kind of slide it under one of your Digimon, but it is using an option, so they can't use it. They can't use memory boosts, they can't use bombs to clear your guys off. Get this out if you can. If you've got a choice between Bloomlord or Shiva mid to late game, you're going Bloomlord and then Hydramon and then Shivamon. But this is really designed for a very early game if you've not seen all your pieces yet, or a very late game if you're dominating the board but you haven't quite won yet. And obviously when it becomes unsuspended, you trash the top of your opponent's security stack. So a super good effect. For Tamers, just simple, 2 copies of Mimi Tachikawa. You tap her if you've got a level 5 or higher in play, and you can hatch a Digi-Egg or promote from your breeding if you've got a level 3 or higher in there. She's one of the best Tamers. You all know her by now. She's also a memory setter. Like you don't need an explanation. To Mimi, very good. You could also run Davis if you want the extra search, but I think this deck searches and draws enough as it is. So I think Mimi is better for the extra, being able to swing and swing for game while protecting your guy and raising. Now we're going to talk about option cards. Now obviously I'm just going to get these out of the way. We're playing 3 green memory boosts. Search top 4 for a green Digimon. Add it to your hand. Delay, gain 2 memory. Everyone knows what this does by now. It's a very good card. Lets you search, lets you gain memory if your opponent's memory choking you. Acts as a pseudo memory tamer for at least 1 turn, as long as they've not got their own Terriermon etc. out. I wouldn't run 4 just for consistency and other cards' sake, but you could definitely up if you wanted to. Yeah, 4 of those. And obviously 1 copy of Hidden Potential discovered. This is another limited card. Next time one of your green Digimon digivolves, you can suspend one of your guys to reduce the cost by 5. So you can potentially use this and get a free Shivamon, a free Bloomlord, and then gain memory back. So it's actually giving you memory. A free Bloomlord, Hydramon, sorry, anything like that. Super good card, you know what it does. For bombs, etc., I'm playing 3 copies of Samadhi Santi. You can suspend one of your Digimon to suspend one of your opponent's Digimon or Tamers, and the target that you choose doesn't unsuspend until the end of their next turn. If you target an already suspended Digimon or Tamer with this, it doesn't get the second effect. You have to have it suspend to gain the second effect, but you can play this for no effect, although I don't know why you'd want to. One of the combos with this card is if you play Samadhi Santi on your Pomumon, that is the suspended one. You play Samadhi Santi, you suspend your Pomumon to suspend one of their Digimon or Tamers, and then the Pomumon also suspends one of the Digimon, so it's good for control, board clear, and that sort of thing. I would run this at 3. I think 2 is a bit too few. You need to see these, and it's a 1 cost, so it's a very cheap option anyway. But 4 is a bit too much, I would say. And finally, 1 copy of Grandel Sol. This is your only sort of bomber removal in the deck, other than being able to suspend and swing over things. This is for things like Death X or other things that just are making your life a bit of a pesky nuisance. It's an 8 cost. It basically suspends one of your opponent's Digimon and then bottom decks one of your opponent's suspended Digimon. So if you hit it in security, it does activate in security. So if you hit it, you could suspend one of their other attackers and then bottom deck their main attacker, anything like that. If you've got 2 or more suspended Digimon and suspended green Digimon, in play, you reduce the cost by 2, making it 6 cost. It's essentially the Hydramon's effect, just in an option card. I only play the 1. I've only got space for 1, and I think the 1 is enough to clear off a lone Death X here and there. But yeah, that is the deck profile, guys. Welcome back to Digimon Land. Now that One Piece is out, I'm gonna try and split the content evenly, although I don't know how good I'll do at that. But we'll find out, won't we? We'll find out together. But anyway, that's going to do it for now, guys. I hope you liked, hope you enjoy the new camera angle. Tell me if it's bad or if you like it or anything like that, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.